One. Hello, Point Park baseball fans. We're here with Pioneers head coach Loren Torres leading up to the 2013 season. Coach, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Coach, last year was such a big year, finishing 5th in the NAIA World Series, 53-11 overall. Number 6 final ranking in the poll. You finished 5th out in Lewiston. How do you pick up where you left off and start anew this year? You know, you're 0-0, not 53-11.
We don't. I mean, we talked to our guys about the fact that last year's team paved a nice road during the course of the whole entire season, but that road now is closed, and we can't take that road. We have to pave our own, and you know that last year's done and closed, and we celebrated and enjoyed our success, and now we're ready to get back after it and you know make our own breaks and paved our own road.
Do you start each year with a specific goal, and what would that be for this year? Have you made the goal more specific in any way, zeroed in on something even more specific than getting to Lewiston?
Last year's team raised the bar, and you know our goal is to stand tall at the final out. We talk about that all the time, and we want to be the best team in Point Park history. That's our goal, and for us to do that, we have to stand tall at the final out in the World Series, and that's our goal now. And you know, we talked to our guys about the fact that last year we believed, and this year we know, and that comes with responsibility, and we have to take that very seriously and get after it.
You're highly ranked number 6 in the NAIA preseason poll. Baseball America has you number 5 in their college preview. What is your take on rankings? Is it nice to be thought of in that way? Is it something you talk about or focus on as a team?
We don't focus on that as a team. We appreciate everyone's credit and respect of our program. The ranking is important because it allows us to have an at-large bid, you know, at the end of the year if in fact we need one. But we're not relying on that. You know, I said this last year. We want to make our own breaks, and we want to go to our conference tournament and win that, and move on to the opening round. But you know, we're not counting on an at-large bid or relying on the ranking to get us through. But it is definitely you know, a good opportunity for someone to be up there in the top 10 or top 25 and receive an at-large bid at the end of the year if things don't pan the way you had them.
How is it different this year, being that you're starting the year in the top 10 and you're going to have a target on your back, so to speak, as opposed to being unranked, number 26 in last year's preseason? And how do you combat that from what you're going to get from opponents day in and day out?
It's tough to expect, to know what to expect on that. We'll go in and we know that we're probably highlighted on a lot of teams' schedules, and we you know, we're okay with that. We have a lot of returning guys that have a lot of maturity and bring a lot of leadership to the table. So we're ready for any challenge that the season will bring, and we're not focusing on that. We're going to go out and try to score more runs and throw more strikes than the other guys, and see where we go.
Is there a motto that you have as a team or a coaching staff, something you're always preaching to the team, a saying or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people have heard this before, but we talk a lot about not being out hustled and out prepared by our opponents, and that's our, you know, that takes you a long way. You know, we have X amount of talent on our team, and I feel like we have on paper a great team going in. But if we're not out hustling and we're not out prepared, then that team could have a special season and go further than your talent would take you.
Now, the seniors on this year's team, as freshmen, they were 13 and 26. How did the Pioneers turn things around in those 3 years? Recruiting, work ethic, discipline, or what have you?
A little bit of everything. We laid a foundation of discipline at the beginning, and you know that first year we definitely, you know, took a lot of hits, and we came back with a solid recruiting class to supplement the players, like the good players that we already had, and those guys laid a foundation of discipline, of work ethic, of hunger and humbleness that has carried through the years, and we're very happy to have that.
Yeah, you can't forget about the guys like Dave Engel, Brian Grice, Kyle Luke Cobb, Frank Marco, Bryce Pfeiffer. The list goes on, I guess. You know.
We still miss those guys, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about this year's team, 2013 Pioneers roster, it looks as though you'll have a deep and talented pitching staff. Is it safe to say that pitching will be your biggest strength once again, just like last year?
You know, I always say we'll go as far as our pitching takes us, and this year will be no different. And we in fact do have more depth on our pitching staff, and I feel like we're going in better, more talented on paper. Again, we have to get on the mound, we have to compete and be competitive first before we're technique strong. We want to be competitive strong before we're technique strong, and that'll go a lot further than what we have to offer on paper.
Now, you lost an ace pitcher of last year who was 10-1, Derek Peluso, the all-time saves leader, closer Mike Tullio, a setup man, Horatio Acosta, who's getting some pro looks. With all of that, is it still possible that you would say your pitching staff is stronger this year?
We have some guys. We brought in some guys that are experienced and mature, and they bought into our system. And I think that last year we had a couple guys coming that we used a lot out of the pen, and this year we have 5 or 6 guys that we could use out of the pen. And then we have Austin Presley, who came in that we feel will fill in for Derek Peluso well, and so we do feel well about our depth. I think that we had a great pitching staff last year, and this year we're just a little deeper.
Okay, if you could take us through the starting rotation, particularly the top 3 guys of Sean Clark, Nate Spahn, and Manny Perdomo. Is it correct to assume that those guys could duplicate what they did last year?
They're as ready as they were last year. We have worked hard, but they're coming in with experience, and I think that's gonna allow them to know what to expect and to get out there and be mentally to anticipate a little bit better. And I think they'll have as good or a better year.
If you could take us through the top end of that rotation, whether it be conference or non-conference guys.
We'll start the year off with again Sean Clark and Nate Spahn as conference starters. Austin Presley and Manny Perdomo will also be conference starters on day 2 of our weekend, and we'll start the year off that way. But we have a lot of quality guys that can also play those roles, and they'll be maybe at some point they'll get an opportunity to start as non-conference guys and see where that takes them. Guys like Ben Rodriguez, Josh Brooks, James Monroe, Isaiah Marsh, and John Corcoran. We have some guys that have the ability to play those roles.
Absolutely, it's great to have 8 or 9 starters, and I'm sure you're going to need all of them at some point, whether it be regular season or a tournament setting. Going back to the top end of that rotation, guys like Clark, Spahn, Perdomo, Presley, what do they bring to the table in terms of what kind of pitchers they are and what they throw and that sort of thing?
Clark has, he has command of 4 or 5 pitches, and that's how he's effective. Nate Spahn, he's a left-handed pitcher, and he competes on the mound. He competes and works fast, and he throwing it from the left side with a good slider and a good changeup. He's effective that way. Manny Perdomo and Austin Presley are they throw hard. They throw hard, and they have command of their fastball, and they'll attack the strike zone, and that's how they're successful. But they're all different. They're all different. But they're all very effective.
Coach, talk about your bullpen a little bit. I know there's some talented newcomers in there, which brings a nice dimension to your team. Who do you have there in the bullpen?
Coming out of the bullpen, new guys. Brian Lopez, he's a left-handed pitcher, throws the ball real well. We have Michael Seta, who just came in at the semester. And Toby Agner. Those are the main 3 new guys that we have on our pitching staff that I feel will give us a lot of quality innings, mainly out of the bullpen.
What are some of the things or the pitches that those guys throw? Some of those guys, Seta, I know, highly touted, who's at Florida State, and Agner and Lopez, 2 years of college ball experience there. What do they bring? Both
Michael and Toby are both in the upper 80s, and Toby throws a slider, to complement his velocity. But Michael throws a cutter, a slider, and a 2-seamer, but they have a very good command of their 2 or 3 pitches, and that's what makes them effective. Shifting over to the position players, you have a lot returning there, 6 of 9 position starters back. How does that experience serve you well with all those guys back? That's one of the things I'm most happy about, the fact that in the lineup we should have 8 of 9 hitters, returning players, to be returning players, and so we're excited about that, and that experience, the experience and the maturity that they have and the leadership that they have will, I feel will allow us to have a better year at the plate.
Take us through the positions on the diamond, starting with the outfield, where you have everyone back and actually a fourth guy who will probably DH.
We have our entire outfield back, and we feel good about their ability to cover ground out there and to take a few balls away in the gaps. Tom Pasinski in center, Rob Novi on left, and Don McDuffie in right. And they did a great job for us last year, and again, solid, making all the plays that they should make, and even taking some away from the gaps.
With Don McDuffie, what was it about him that has him in the lineup as opposed to maybe he started halfway through the year last year and has held on to it?
Absolutely. He's found a way to do the little things and to do less at the plate and use his speed. Speed doesn't take a day off, and he learned to use that daily, and his ability to hit the ball through the 6-hole and lay a bunt down, draw a walk, and just do the little things to be on base.
Next, with the infield, you had a couple of holes to fill there. How's that shaping up? You lost Lee Bodner at third, Dylan Sowers at short, Steve Duca at first.
At first, we're gonna have Marlon Leyva starting, who DH for us last year. He's a returning guy. We feel very good about his maturity and his ability to fill in for Steve real well. At short, we're gonna have Chaz Russo start for us, and he's a guy that can catch, throw, hit, and do it all. And we feel good about our shortstop situation there. At third base, we still have two guys competing for that job, Jonathan Thassis and Tyler Catafan, both returning guys. It's going to be hard to replace Lee. Lee Bodner was the heartbeat of our team last year, and the energy, the synergy, and the leadership that he had. It's tough to replace. But the two guys that are competing for that job will do a good job for us.
And at second base?
At second base, we returned Tom Burkle. Tom Burkle, who did a great job for us. He had a labrum surgery this summer, and is recovering really well from that, and at this point ahead of where he was last year. So we feel good about his ability to hit for us again, and to be a leader in the infield.
Okay, very good. And next, behind the plate and DH also. What do you have there?
We're gonna DH Javi Martigarena, and last year he was our leading hitter, and we lost him midway through the year. He's back, and he can flat out swing the bat. We'll plug him in the outfield as he recovers and his knee starts to to be ready to go out and make play outfield. But yeah, he'll be DHing for us, and behind the plate we'll have Ozzie Alfonso, who did a great job for us last year.
Absolutely, Ozzie was a rock there. For those position players, who are the guys who have had a good winner here? Guys that are really hitting the ball well in the cage, and guys you're looking to produce the most for you.
It's always hard to evaluate that inside. We're inside. We'll be taking off to Tennessee next week, and we're looking forward to that. But the guys that have earned the starting jobs, the guys that we just talked about, those guys have done the best inside. All the returning guys, and Chaz Russo and Ozzie's doing really well at the plate, which he struggled a little bit at the plate last year. Was great defensively, and he was a big key to our success. But he's swinging the bat real well this year.
What will be your strengths offensively, whether it be getting on base, hitting for average, getting guys over? What kind of team would you be from that standpoint?
We have to play a little bit to develop an identity offensively. I know that we'll be very, very close to where we were last year as far as an identity offensively. But again, I think that we'll be the team that's going to get on base and manufacture a little bit. Sometimes we'll have our middle of the lineup up, and we'll wait a little bit and for them to swing the bat, and at times we'll make things happen depending on where we are and how guys are doing on a daily basis.
Defensively, how do you feel about your team? How will the Pioneers field the baseball this year?
We have two guys that are new this year defensively at short and third, and those two guys I feel defensively are we're better than where we were last year in those two spots. Everywhere else, we return guys, and we feel good about where we are. And they've worked hard to come back and better defenders, and obviously they have the experience and the maturity to do, to put themselves in a good position to have a better year.
Yeah, and obviously no problems in the outfield with all that speed and talent out there, and behind the plate solid as ever with Ozzie, of course. Lastly, Coach, talk about the importance of getting off to a good start. You're playing some good teams early, on a couple of trips south. How important is that to get out of the gate with a good start?
We always we want to be ready to go from the start. We don't want to peak mid-season. We don't want to peak at the end. We want to play as well as we can on that particular day. There's no doubt that we will be better in April than we are in late February. But in late February, we want to be good enough and ready enough to beat anyone and to play with anyone. And that's our goal. We want to be as ready as we can be to be able to win against anybody and play well against anybody. But there's no doubt that we will be better in April. As long as we stay focused and hungry and continue to chip away at our goal.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. This has been an interview with head coach Loren Torres of Point Park Baseball, getting ready for the 2013 season. Good luck, Coach, and thanks a lot.
Thank you.